We want to welcome you to another amazing episode of TMC, where we are here to help you take your relationship from surviving to thriving. On today's episode of TMC, we have Rachel Fiori joining us, and we are going to be discussing transforming relationships.
I train individuals and certify coaches in how to master life and love. I have been doing this for over 23 years with a combination of my master's degree and as an occupational therapist, specializing in mental, emotional, behavioral health. But I realized very early on, as I added a coaching certification to what I do, that when people are really struggling in life or in their relationships, why are they struggling and why can they not seem to heal things pretty quickly? So I really focused on trying to find the answers to that and leading people down a path where they can heal authentically and no more with the, coping strategies and putting band-aids on things. So I really dive into deep transformational work in order for people to truly become empowered and experience what love is really all about.
That's good. So you mentioned that you help people to think about or dive deeper into why they struggle and can't get healed with different areas in their life and that affects their relationships. But what are some of the areas that you see, or what would you say is the reason why people find it difficult to heal or to find that healing?
Yeah, great question. So, the first thing to understand, we want to awaken to the fact that we reenact our childhood over and over and over again, but we don't see it or understand how or why. We are reenacting programs and patterns that we learned growing up, whether it was directly from the way that you were parented, whether it was from little micro traumas that never got healed that you don't even remember or know that you had. There are a lot of experiences that we've had in life when we were a very young child where that set patterns and programs into our subconscious mind. We are reenacting those out in our relationships and we have no idea. We can't see it. Why? Because the person in front of us, our partner,
Mhm.
did something and we think we're upset because of the thing they did. The hardest thing to grasp at first in this work is even if your partner did something really shitty, they may have, absolutely, but why are you triggered by it? And the only reason we are triggered in life is because something is unhealed within ourselves. Something is unhealed. That's your clue. I'm triggered by something means I'm frustrated, I'm annoyed, I might get angry. It doesn't matter what the trigger is, what it created, but if there is some sort of disharmony within myself right now, that means there's something unhealed. And so when we start there, we can start to step into the realm of actual healing, anything and everything, if we realize and take that very first step.
I'm glad to hear you say that because you said that when we're triggered and we show up in a certain way. So in our relationships, we show up in a certain way. And a lot of times we like to think, I'm doing this because you did that. Or because you did that, that's why I'm doing this. So I think that's a nugget for the audience to understand and know. You talked about the thing that is in us from our childhood and how we are showing up and how we are reliving these things over and over again. And a lot of times I think that we don't understand that. We're not aware of that. We're thinking that it's the other person's behavior or the other person's actions that's causing me to have a certain behavior or a certain action. And what you just said just now is profound. Like, no, that's something that's showing up in you because that's an area that's not healed. That's
Got it.
that's it. I
You
love that. I
got
love
it.
it.
And
Yes.
your partner is mirroring that to you, even when they do ugly things or unloving things. But our focus tends to be on the unloving thing that they did instead of why am I so deeply disturbed by that? Well, we go to our mind. These are mental programs because it was wrong, because she lied, because that's unfair. It doesn't mean it wasn't.
Mhm.
But
Yes.
if I'm a fully healed and powerful person, then I will look at that behavior and I will say, oh, well, that comes from woundedness. So
Wow.
no, thank you.
Yeah.
That not okay with me, but see, I'm not actually triggered by it. I'm not triggered by it. I set my loving boundaries. I say, oh, we're not going to do that in this relationship because that does not work for me, you see. So, this, what you're showing to me, or what you're offering to me, or the way you're kind of hurting me, that comes from woundedness. Are you willing to heal your woundedness? Let's get some help. If not, this isn't going to work.
Wow.
Wow.
This is awesome. It sounds like I'm listening to you, and it sounds like you basically saying, don't take it personal. Even with me and my wife, I mean, even with like sometimes things has happened, and it's easy for me to personalize it, internalize it. It's easy for me to get offended over something that really has nothing to do with me, and it's really all about her. And I think even with what you're saying, the easy thing for me to do as a spouse or as a friend or whatever relationship you're dealing with is being there to help that individual through the process instead of taking it personal and starting conflicts that way.
Absolutely. That was beautiful. That is so amazing. That's exactly it. That's one of the golden rules.
Wow.
As personal as it feels, nothing's personal.
Mm,
Mm.
No
mm,
matter how much somebody hurts you or hates you, it actually is not personal. It is 100% about them. It has nothing to do with you. It is their
mm.
woundedness. It is not about you. It's not about you. I had that first shift into awakening at 13 years old, when I had that awareness come into my consciousness of, oh my God, this has nothing to do with me. And it was with my bipolar abusive stepfather, when I had that moment of, because here comes the abuse. My A I got wasn't a high enough A, and so I'm stupid and incapable, the abuse started. And I just went, oh, and I looked up at him. I'm like, oh my God, this has nothing to do with me. This isn't about me. This is his woundedness that he's vomiting all over me. I mean, it sucks. Let's get real.
Yeah.
But this isn't about me. So even in an abusive situation, not saying that abuse is okay, never saying
Yeah.
that, never saying stay there. So don't misunderstand anybody
Right.
listening. I'm letting you know, though, that deeper level of awareness, don't take it personally, because it's not about you. It is about that person's woundedness. In a partnership, when you see that and oh, well, that kind of sucks, but this isn't personal. Now, can we heal together as a couple? Can we focus
Mm.
on healing your woundedness? Oh, now we're in compassion.
Yeah.
Now we're in understanding. Now we're in supportive, nurturing energy versus, screw you, don't treat me that way. We're not in conflict anymore. We're now stepping towards, oh, well, let's have some compassion and heal this.
Wow. Wow, this is amazing. Rachel, you're freeing a lot of people even listening right now because I mean, I'm listening to you and I'm thinking you were talking about your stepfather and yeah, I mean, just the thought of this. Let's just say you would have internalized that and you would have taken it personal. Now that your stepfather, his issues, you use the analogy and I love it, vomit, it's on you
Mhm.
and you didn't clean yourself off. You just holding it, internalizing it, and you're making this vomit a part of you. And now you're taking it to your
Mm.
kids and your kids take it to their kids and their
It's
kids.
Yes.
And
sinking.
it
It's
just creates a
sinking.
generational curse based on something of somebody else's wounds year after year after
Yes.
year after year, long after they're gone. So I believe you're freeing people right now with this
Absolutely.
information. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Um,
This is
My
awesome.
pleasure.
This is great. And let's talk about this. You mentioned you mentioned programming a little bit, and we talked
Mhm.
mm,
about Cedric, you just mentioned generation after generation. So there's something that you teach people about that's called generational and inherited
ah,
programming. Let's talk about that a little bit, because I think that as people are being freed and as relationships are being transformed, it's important for us to know where this come from. What is the root cause of it? What is it really? And in order to look at your spouse and know, oh, this is not about me, to look at your significant other, no, this is not really me. This is where they are wounded or where they need to be healed. I think us understanding the generational and inherited programming would be amazing asset.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's stick with this example that I threw out there, because that'll help make it a little easier for people to digest. So if I take things personally, if I, as a child, for example, am with this abusive stepdad, right? And he is the mental abuse, the emotional, psychological abuse, sometimes physical. If I just take all of that on, and what happens is, for the average person, They develop like low self-worth. Well, oh my God, I really am stupid, or I'm not good enough. And these programs are deeply embedded into their subconscious. So when you develop these programs and grow up and you're now in adult relationships, oh my goodness, your partner says one thing or criticizes you one time or says something that's unkind, and it boom, there's your trigger.
Mm.
And it triggers this deep wound. Here come the programs of maybe defensiveness or attack or fight or withdraw and hide. Everybody has different programs that they've created for themselves based on woundedness or survival or whatever may have happened. So you then have these programs that run on autopilot, and you think a conflict with your partner is about the conflict in the moment, and it never is. It never is. It's about the woundedness that I never healed, which is why this is so triggering to me now. So when we realize that it isn't personal and we start the, oh, I'm so triggered, I'm so hurt by this. Okay, let's start there.
Mm.
Now I can go in and I can heal the wounds that I never got a chance to heal from my childhood that I might not even know are there. What happens then is I turn into a healed, whole, powerful being. And if my partner actually is unkind or runs his or her programs, I can meet them with power and love, no more woundedness. And that's the difference.
Wow, wow,
Wow.
wow, wow. You said
Yes,
it you said it's not about the conflict, but it's about the wound on the inside of you that hasn't been healed.
you got
And
it.
I am like,
You
wow,
got it. That
wow.
is exactly it. And I'll tell you right now, I'm going to throw this out there. It's why traditional therapy doesn't work. It doesn't heal. Traditional therapy doesn't actually heal the wounds. We learn things in traditional therapy like, oh, here's some conflict resolution strategies. Band-aid. Not going to heal the wound.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow.
Band-aid. We learn things like, oh, loving communication. Well, look, loving communication is wonderful, but it doesn't heal the wound. It doesn't matter how nicely you say this one thing. You can say something very nicely, and guess what? Your partner is still going to be triggered. It's the trigger. It's seeing right now in this moment, I am triggered. And that's when you start to do the real work. You do the work to go within and see why. And then you can heal it when you're willing to see it. You can heal it when you're willing to feel the pain and meet your pain with nothing but love and nurturing. That's what heals.
Oh
This is
man.
amazing. At the end of the day, there is more to it than that, because if that person's wound is still there, you can say it as sweet as you want to say it, and they
Yes,
still gonna take it offensively. So that, yes,
exactly.
that is great. That's
That
great.
is exactly it. And it's how we're showing up. These are just behavior programs. They're behaviors. The behavior is never, you can never heal a wound on the behavioral level. Behaviors get us in a lot of trouble, though, don't they? The
Hmm.
behavior is what we tend to focus on. The behavior is what gets you divorced. The behavior is what sends you to prison. The behavior is what gets us in
Wow.
trouble. But it is the wound that is triggering those behaviors. So you cannot heal a wound by focusing on the negative behavior. That's not where the healing comes from. You can't, it's impossible. You have to go deeper and find out what is triggering this behavior that is unloving or sabotaging this relationship. It's self sabotaging and it's relationship sabotaging when we carry wounds, period, end. Whatever I
Wow.
do to sabotage myself, I am going to harm and sabotage someone else, and vice versa. We're one. We are one. We are in separate bodies. We might look differently. We might be two different sexes, but we are one, whether we understand that or not. And when we start doing this kind of work, the kind of work that I coach and we teach at Masters of Self University, we understand this. We start to understand this idea, this divine truth of oneness, that no matter where you come from or where I come from or in this relationship, our similarities, our differences, we are still one. So when we have our differences, let's celebrate them. And when we have our pain and our wounds, oh, let's heal them together. Isn't that wonderful to do that instead of make them worse by pointing fingers and blaming and judging? That's where we stop the generational trauma. Is no more handling and meeting our conflicts and relationships with judgment, with superior, inferior, with right, wrong. Instead, oh, well, where's the pain? I see a wound here. Let's love this
Mm.
together.
Wow. Let's love this together.
Oh man, this is amazing. And this
Wow.
really gets, I mean, this is relationship too. One person have more melanin in their skin than the other one. And we're like
Yeah.
going crazy over this because
Yeah.
of these wounds that nobody want to deal with. Nobody want to stop and evaluate the situation, look at the crime scene and say, you know what?
Yes.
You hurting. Oh wow.
Yes.
I'm hurting. Let's deal with the wounds.
Mm-hmm.
And then we
Yes.
can deal with these issues. You said that, and that's what kind of popped in my head. I mean,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
this social
Yeah.
situation that we're having right now, based on everybody is wounded. People are
Yes.
wounded from both sides, but we don't
Yes.
take the minute to understand each other. And all we want to do is we want to project our wounds. And I don't care about your wounds. I just want to project
Exactly.
mine. I want you to understand me, but I don't want to understand you. And that's a problem.
Exactly.
You. That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
problem.
And right now,
Exactly.
the behavior gets you in trouble,
Hmm.
but the wound is the problem.
Yes.
And when you said that, I'm
Oh
like,
man.
wow, because that's just something that I don't think a lot of, we can't know it, because if we knew it, I would like to think we do something different. But I'm glad that on today, people are being freed, their minds are being set free,
Yeah.
that they're coming to, everyone that listens will receive this knowledge. The behavior, you talked about jail, you talked about divorce, you talked, it can
Everything.
get you in, it can get you fired. The behavior can get you in trouble, but the wound is the real problem, because
Yes.
I mean, you've already said it so many times, but we have to keep driving it in. If the wound is not addressed, the behavior, if we only focus on the behavior, then you're modifying the behavior, but the problem is still going to be there. The real problem
Yes.
will still be there. And what it's going to
Yes.
do is it's going to show up in one way or another. So now you're talking sweeter, but you have another behavior that has shown up, because
Yeah.
we're only addressing it at a surface level. But if we go deeper and say, okay, there's a real problem here, there's a wound here, there's something that needs to be healed. If we address the thing that needs to be healed, then the behavior will change, but the
Yes.
person will be whole, which is the most important.
Mm.
You got it. And here's the beauty of learning the process of how to go really deep and see what's in there and healing that. The behavior fades. Because why?
Hmm.
We don't need it anymore
Yeah.
for survival
Oh.
or protection. It goes away on its own.
Oh man.
When
Yes.
you focus on change behavior, just be better, make better choices. Oh my goodness, you can try. You
Yeah.
can, I mean, and some people really do try very
Mhm.
hard and then they fail. But guess what? They're then running programs of failure. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not deserving. Or the, victimizer, inferior, superior programs. We just keep running them because we're not healing the wounds. So if we instead forget about the behaviors, how ugly people are, we go down deep and we see the pain that is there. Heal the pain, the behavior dissolves organically. You don't have to try. You don't have to try. There's no effort in it. It's effortless. It heals itself because you've healed yourself. And now you are a whole, healed, powerful, wonderful person. And you actually innately realize no one can actually hurt you, no matter what they do, no
Mhm.
matter what they say. What you see is, oh, wow, that was really crazy what you just did. You must be really wounded to show up that way. I
Mm.
am going to send you love. You might have to go to jail. You might be arrested for what you just did, but I'm going to send you love while you're there. I get asked the question a lot. You can imagine how many couples may come to me for coaching that where there was infidelity. And the question I get asked a lot in a lot of arenas is like, okay, so I really want to know, like, if somebody cheats, can you really heal from that? Or like, should I forgive him or should I forgive her? Like, how do we move on from this? And the biggest question tends to be, should I leave? I
Mm.
mean, should I leave? And my answer to that is always, well, hold on. First of all, the person who cheated is carrying wounds. Have those wounds been healed since yesterday?
Oh
No.
wow.
No. So guess what? You want your answer. How dedicated and devoted is he or she who
Mm.
cheated? How dedicated and devoted are they to their own self healing?
Wow.
Because again, it's not personal. When someone cheats, that has nothing to do with your partner. It has everything to do with your own woundedness and relationship sabotage programs that you're running because you don't feel like you're good enough to be loved in this relationship. So you're going to sabotage it. Are you willing to get the help you need to heal those wounds? Because if you do, you can heal anything and your relationship can be 10 times better next month, next year than it was when this happened. If that person is unwilling to heal, you better say bye-bye or more pain is coming.
Oh, wow.
I was about to go something else, but let's stay here. So you mentioned the individual, in the relationship that was cheated on, for example. So the individual was cheated on. So they was cheated on because of their own issues. But now that individual has cheated on their significant other, and
Yep.
now they have wounds, and now
Yes.
they need healing.
Yes.
What do we do about that?
Mm.
Yeah, great question. Beautiful question. So, if I am cheated on, my number one priority is to heal myself.
Mm.
Mm.
Because as a divine, powerful being, I have the power to heal me no matter what you've done or how you've shown up in this relationship.
Yeah.
My responsibility to heal is on me, myself, and I. Now, let's not make the mistake of thinking that, oh, I heal myself and I do the work and I go get the help to do that. But it means that my partner's off the hook. Oh, no. Mm-mm. What is that person who cheated doing to heal, like as I mentioned before? But the next thing is, of course, then there's a matter of trust. Trust is shattered, is the hardest thing to get back. A lot of times couples will start to heal or move beyond, or time has passed and the person who cheated, you're not over this yet, you're not over, why don't you trust me, you don't trust me, oh, I'm sorry, here's where we make a big mistake.
Yeah.
It is not about me ever trusting you again. It is about you becoming healed enough that you are now trustworthy.
Wow.
Wow.
That's the difference.
Wow.
Because
Mm.
when you are authentically to the core of your soul trustworthy, it is impossible for me not to trust you. So the work is on you, my friend who cheated.
Because this is good. I have to ask you something about what you said. So we talked about healing. People that thought they were healed for the life of them, they won't let it
Wow.
go.
Mhm.
But in
Yeah,
their
yeah,
mind, they really
yeah,
believe that they are healed, but I still see them bleeding. So my
yeah.
question is, how do you know you've been healed?
Good question. So I love this question. I'm going to say this first. A lot of times people will come for coaching, and the majority of the time, if they have never had therapy or coaching or done intensive work yet, I will not take them on as a client. You pay me $1 million an hour, I'm not going to take you. You know why? Because you are looking for some quick fix or something that's going to happen overnight. You don't realize what healing is warriors work.
Mm,
Mm.
mm,
So if you haven't yet realized that coping strategies that most people teach, unfortunately, whether they're therapists or coaches, surface level healing, focusing on behavior will never heal anything. Conflict resolution strategy, again, beautiful to know conflict resolution strategies, and we need those. They don't heal the wound. That's the difference. Loving communication. Oh, speak my love language. It's wonderful that we know about that kind of stuff. Again, doesn't heal the wound.
um,
So, when we understand that, we can move forward and understand here's the easiest question to begin to ask ourselves as an individual.
mm,
If I'm really healed, how do I get triggered, when and why? What triggers me? And I want to make this clear because some people think being triggered just means getting really angry. Being triggered means if anything, a person, a circumstance, a situation activated disharmony within myself, that means I'm triggered. Another way to say that is if I am pulled out of 100% peace within my beingness, within myself, if I am not feeling 100% peaceful right now, despite anything going on around me, I am triggered. Something's activated that needs my attention, or I wouldn't be triggered. So you first look at, okay, I'm definitely triggered because this really bothered me. I'm out of peace, right? I've been
yeah,
pulled out of peace. The second step is increasing self awareness to say, okay, what programs am I running? And learning, this is part of what I teach. What programs am I running? I'm running mental programs. So that means, what is my mind saying about this? Is it like, sure, this isn't like whatever your mind is saying that's unloving, that's crazy, or that's mean? Those are mental programs that is going to affect you emotionally. It's going to lower your energy levels and make you feel more negative. So then what emotional programs are you running? What behavioral programs are you running? There's a whole step by step. What programs am I running? And when you do this work, you learn over time to then, after you realize, oh, this program, that program, that program, and now, when did I first feel exactly this way? When in my life did I first feel exactly this way? And when you do this work over time, you intuitively will be able to answer that. It'll just come to you. When was it? Was it the way that your father treated you one time? Was it a fight you had with a sibling where they were terrible, where they cheated you out of money or something, or they stole a toy when you were really little? Like there's always something that it goes back to. Now,
Mm.
and I want to make this clear because this can be a little confusing for people, that when you see something that's like, wow, like that's not right, or that's not fair, or that's unkind, it doesn't mean it's not. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean it's not. But am I in judgment, or am I angry? Am I running a program that's making me feel negative? That shows me I have something to heal. Otherwise, I see an injustice and I say, "Oh my God, well, whatever it is." But am I really triggered and angry, or frustrated about it, or feel negative about it? That's the difference. I don't have to feel negative. That means I'm disempowered. I can still be empowered and say, "Oh, this is not right, or it's not okay. Do I need to take action? Do I need to stand up for something, for this injustice? Do I need to set a boundary? Do I need to speak up and use my voice on my behalf?" But I'm coming from a place of power, not from a place of woundedness, disempowerment. That's the difference.
So, Rachel, you mentioned a few minutes ago that people are being taught coping strategies. What are some
Mhm.
other things that will help transform a relationship, or what is the things that will help transform relationships?
Yeah, yeah, beautiful question. Learn how to fall in love with your pain. And what does that mean? When I am in pain, what we have learned in our society, pain is bad, don't feel it, run. Go to here's our healthy coping strategies that society tells us is good. Go for a run, go do yoga, meditate, do exercise. Guess what all those are? Avoidance, 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 disempowerment. I'm too weak to handle my own pain. It keeps us emotionally at the level of little children,
Mm.
that I can't handle anything. So I'm going to run from it. I'm going to numb out on TV or food or sex or porn or drugs or alcohol, or I'm going to pretend like I'm healthy and I'm going to hit the gym or go for a walk or go out in nature. Oh, they're all coping strategies are dysfunctional at their root. They don't heal, they put band aids on things. So it doesn't mean that coping strategies cannot be a wonderful supportive tool to use while we're healing, but you learn to say, "Oh my God, I'm in a lot of pain. What does that mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm really sad right now because you hurt my feelings." Let's use that as an example. What I learned how to do is I go into my pain in my body and I breathe into it and I say, "Oh, it's okay that you're here. You're not alone. I love you for being here. Thank you for showing yourself to me." And you breathe and you love your pain. You do that for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. You will feel this sense of peace wash over you. And then after that, if you want to go hit the gym, go for a walk, go out in nature, go right ahead. It'll be more impactful. Go do your yoga then, you know. But first, drop into your pain and accept it, embrace it, love it, and nurture it. You could do it for 2 minutes, literally. Then go do your coping stuff.
Sounds like the coping is more like the nearest sporing.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it.
Wow. So yeah, it's something that can be used to assist the wound in healing, but it doesn't heal the wound.
Right, right. What we've learned how to use coping skills for are to actually avoid feeling pain because we've learned to run from pain, and that is disempowerment. That keeps us weak. It keeps us at a lower level of consciousness. That oftentimes, "Oh my God, you're in a bad mood. I don't want to be around you." Oh, instead of, "Well, I'm so powerful with love within myself that you're in a really grumpy mood today, so I'm going to love you harder." Why do we not meet that bad mood now? And it doesn't mean that because you're grumpy, we're going to talk behavior program. Because you're grumpy, maybe you bit my head off. "Oh, I'm so sorry that you're in a bad mood today. You can't talk to me that way. That's not all right with me. So don't talk to me that way again. But I'm really sorry that you're frustrated today." So it's never about being walked all over. No, you're too powerful for that. It is instead of focusing on somebody's behavior, we see their pain because that pain is causing that ugly behavior. And that's where we're missing it. We're missing it in life and we're missing it in our relationships.
Yeah.
Woundedness causes negative behaviors. We are not justifying negative behaviors. We're not making excuses for them. We are not watering them down or pretending like they're not a big deal. Oh no, some people's behaviors are absolutely horrific. They are horrendous and they need to be addressed. But the wound and the pain that is underneath that is so great and significant, it can't not be, because nobody who is powerful and in love with themselves and free from wounds shows up as.
This is really good. I mean, because we're taught. We're taught to run away from it. We're taught
Yep,
to put it in the closet and put it in the
yep,
back of the closet where you can't
yep,
see it. You don't put it in the closet with the light. You put it in the dark closet where,
yeah.
but it's the crazy thing about it, it's still there. And I love what you said. And I'm just going to add a quote just came to my mind. Stop running from your pain and run to it. Run
Yes.
to it. Embrace it.
Run to your pain.
I'm listening. And I think that's the most noble thing. That's the most heroic thing you can possibly do is
Mhm.
run.
Run into it. You run and you dive all the way deep into that darkness and you give it nothing but your love.
Yeah.
You give it nothing but your love, because from that love comes transformational healing. From that love comes a deeper understanding. From that love arises organically without having to try compassion, patience. You see, and these are ways of oneness. These are the ways that, despite our differences, we're the same. And despite being the same, we're different. So, in our oneness, we are incarnated here on this planet to look different and be different and have different skills and gifts that we all get to share and learn from each other. That's the whole point. We're not here to focus on our ugliness and create separation. Separation. We're different. We're separate. No, we're one,
Mm.
but we're here to experience different things because of our manifested form is different. And we're supposed to be celebrating that and rejoicing in that. And I get to learn from you because of your life experiences and your differences. And you get to learn from me. And in that way, we are one. And oh, we get to love each other so much harder because of our differences. And in that, we're the same.
Man, good. This is good.
We can also say that when it comes to our pain, our life experiences are there in order for us to grow, to learn something, and to learn how to step into our true divine power. And our true inner power comes from the ability to love pain. That's self love. And only when I can learn to love myself in such a powerful way can I authentically love another person. And when I love myself like that, it means I become so selfless and so enlightened that I love other people outside of me way more than I even love myself now. Why? Because I took the time to learn what it really means to love myself. How did I do that? Every time I was in pain, I stopped running from it. I
Yeah.
dove into it. I loved it. I nurtured it. I allowed myself to cry. I allowed myself to grieve. And I gave myself the space and the patience and the nurturing to do it. And because I'm able to do that, anybody else who comes near me when they're in pain, no matter how they show up in their behavior programs, I'm able to powerfully love them through it as well. When I love them unconditionally, that
Mm.
means I am loving both of us unconditionally at the same time. That's power.
Wow. Oh, this is deep. Because that may be some listener right now, maybe 30 years old, maybe 40 years old, maybe 50, maybe 60, maybe 70, maybe 80. And at their age, it's something, some little girl, some little boy, 8 years old, 6 years old, there's pain. Somewhere down the journey of life, through years and years and seasons, that individual, every time that pain come, they run and they constantly running from it. What would you tell that person?
Yeah, that in order for that pain, the pain is never going to go away on its own. That's the first thing to understand. There's no such thing. This stuff runs on autopilot.
Yeah.
No such thing. Time heals. No, it doesn't. That's insane. Time suppresses, and then external circumstances and people and situations trigger your pain throughout your entire life. So the first thing is it will literally never heal on its own. It can't. Why? Because that means you are labeling yourself and showing up in this world as a disempowered, weak person who doesn't think they're capable of healing themselves. And you are way more powerful than that, my friend. You have the power to heal. You might not know how, And not knowing how is not disempowerment. You just don't have the skills or the know-how yet, and that's okay. We're here to learn, but you do have the power. And so that's the first step, is understanding that. And from there, I usually will tell people you have to learn to go inside of your body and feel what is going on inside of your body. It's very difficult for people to do. It's very difficult for women, in the sense that women are told if they show or express emotion, they're crazy and over emotional. And men, are you kidding me? You weak, pathetic for showing any emotion. Are you serious? From the time you're toddlers, you're told to suppress your emotions. You're not a man.
Yeah.
That's psychotic. You are human. No human walks this earth without feeling emotions. It is psychotic what our culture does to us. So our culture is so damaging on what we learn from it. It is time to let go of everything you've ever learned and decide to be powerful instead. And being powerful instead means I'm going to learn to acknowledge my pain, whether I'm frustrated, whether I'm sad, whether I'm in grief, whether I'm afraid, whether I feel like I'm going to cry right now. It's, oh, look at that. Something inside of me is so sad or so upset that it needs to cry, or it needs to feel sadness for a little bit. I breathe and I drop into my body and I sit with it with love. It is the simplest thing to do. And I mean this so literally. It is the simplest thing and the deepest, most transformational thing you can do. And yet, when people first start doing it, they won't do it. They will not just sit in their pain and actually love their pain. Okay, I'm sitting here. Is it going to go away? Aw, you missed the mark, my friend. If you want it to get out of here, that's not loving. That's not love. So people don't even know what love is. It's, I have an emotion within myself that is very negative, that hurts. Oh my God. And it's scary. You don't want it to go away. As long as you want it to go away, you're not in love. Love is open arms. It's welcoming. It embraces. It says, oh, you're here and I'm here with you. You're not alone. Talk to your pain, say hello to it, say it is okay that you're here, no matter how bad you feel within me right now, because pain sucks. But while you're here, I am going to love you and I am going to be with you. You're not alone. That is the first step to learning what it means to actually love your pain. And when you authentically love your pain, guess what? It starts to transform all on its own. You don't do anything else but love it. And when it actually transforms by the power of your love, it's gone permanently. That little bit that you just healed will never come back. There's no such thing as it getting triggered again, because the power, that's what the power of love does. But we often don't know what it really means, what love really means. So we don't get there. And then we wonder why things don't heal.
It's not optional. You can do this.
Right.
You can do this. Deal with it. Face your pain.
Yes.
Deal with your pain. Don't let anything in your mind tell you you can't do it. I don't care how long you've been running from it. Declare today the day that you are going to run to it, that you are going to face your giant, that you are going to face your Goliath, and that you are going to attack it, and that you are going to win, because you are a winner.
Absolutely. I love it. You have that power within you. It is there waiting for you to tap into it. We just don't know how. Oftentimes we don't know how. And we play at the surface level of things instead of diving deep, because going deep is really scary. Going very deep into pain is very, very scary. So we keep trying to avoid. You'll never heal if you avoid. Right. There's no getting around it.
Even though you hear all of this information on tonight, you have to say, I do have this power. I have this power. I have this power. I have this ability. Yes. And I can face this. It hurts really bad. It hurts really bad, but I can face this and I can deal with this. I can sit in this. I can unpack it, because you have to be willing. In order to receive the healing, you have to be willing.
Yes, absolutely. I always say it requires two things: willingness and devotion. You have to be willing to learn, and you have to be devoted to the process. And my analogy I often give is, if you want to lose 40 pounds and get in shape, maybe you're not in the best shape of your life and you want to lose 40 pounds and get healthier and get in shape. You're not going to do that sitting on the couch, binge watching Netflix. You have to go to the gym. And then when you're in the gym, you show up. You can't look around and then leave and think that's going to do anything. You have to actually work out, right? So it's showing up, the willingness to show up, do the work, and the devotion to the process. You do that, it's impossible for it not. There's no such thing as it's not working.
Yep.
No such thing.
Yep. Yep.
There is such thing as you not doing the work, but there is no such thing as the work not working.
Absolutely.
Rachel, this was awesome. This is an
Oh,
awesome interview. So if someone wanted to connect with you and what you're doing, where should they go?
Yeah, they can go to mastersofselfuniversity.com. Mastersofselfuniversity.com. Masters of Self, because we are all here to learn how to master ourselves. So mastersofselfuniversity.com. I'm happy to give a free Save Your Relationship mini master class. I'll give you a free mini master class you can share with your audience if they're interested in getting a jump start on some of the things that they can learn and do.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Thank you so much. On behalf of the TMC community, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and adding value to us.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to be here. And I think you two are so amazing and wonderful. I appreciate sharing this space with you. I'm sending so much love to you and so much gratitude for sharing this time with me today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rachel. We hope you enjoyed this episode of TMC. And if you did, go ahead and subscribe. Click the like button and turn on your notifications so you will be notified when we upload a video every week. If you're listening on iTunes, rate the podcast and leave a review. Head on over to our leadership podcast, Lead to Greatness, where my husband is interviewing entrepreneurs and great leaders every week.
So we want to thank you for joining us today on TMC. Looking forward to hanging out with you again on next week as we continue to help you take your relationship from surviving to thriving. Bye. See you next week.